Get started. So hi everybody, thank you so much for making the time to join us today. My name is Liel. I'm a Senior Customer Success Manager here at Comeet, and we're all meeting here today for our Noteworthy Features webinar. We have some great features that we wanted to talk to you about today. Some of you maybe have already heard about them, but it's always good to hear about them again and remind yourself about their value and how to use them. Just to remind you all, this webinar is going to be in English. We had an earlier one today in Hebrew. If anyone got confused between the two links, we're going to send out the recording of all of them to all of our customers. So if you don't get a chance to stay for the rest of the webinar, you have some other recruiters that you think should be here, we're going to send out the recording as well. In addition, we'll have time for questions. So if you have any questions during the webinar, feel free to write them in our Q&A section. And we'll get to them right after we talk about all of our great features. In addition, I'm going to add to that later on today, you're going to get an invitation to our next webinar. We're meeting again in 2 weeks to discuss end of the year reporting. So you'll all get an invite. Definitely make sure to register for this one. I'm sure all of you are already thinking about those management meetings that you need to prepare for. So we're going to talk about some really great reports and Comeet insights to get you prepared for the end of the year. So feel free to reach out to our support team if you have any questions. You can reach out to them and we can gather your questions and address them as well in our next webinar. So let's get started. I'm going to turn off my video. I'll see you again for questions. So great. Today's agenda is covering three top features here in Comeet that we really wanted to make sure that you all are aware of and you know how to use them. The first one is the candidate voice feature. The second one is the auto scheduling feature. It's actually a relatively new feature that was released earlier this year, and we really wanted to make sure that you're all using it and answer any questions that you have on this topic. Next, we're going to talk about Comeet's referral program. And as I mentioned before, we're going to have plenty of time for Q&A at the end. So feel free to reach out and write any questions you have in the Q&A section. Great, so let's get started. The candidate voice feature, basically this is a feature that is an add-on feature in Comeet. It has additional costs. It's not included in any one of your packages, but it's open and available for anyone who would like to purchase it. And what we have here under the candidate voice feature is essentially an anonymous candidate survey that is sent out to your candidates after they finish and complete the hiring process at your company. This could be for candidates that were hired, rejected, or withdrew during the process. And the idea here is to send out a questionnaire to them, allowing them to give feedback that is honest, straightforward, and can really help you evaluate your hiring process and get really valuable insights into how candidates are experiencing the interviews, the scheduling, and in general, the whole relationship with your recruiting team throughout their hiring process. So a little bit about this feature. The idea here is to really give you great and important insights about your candidate experience, how they communicated with the hiring team, how were they treated, what made them, become interested in your company and want to apply for a position. The survey is sent from Comeet, so it's very clear to the candidates that it's an anonymous survey, allowing them to feel comfortable to really reflect and share their feelings regarding the process and how they how they would like to communicate it to you. The email essentially includes a link, a little button that we'll see together in just a bit, and the candidate will click on it, sending them to a little chatbot. It's a 1.5 to 2 minute survey tops. So it's very easy and doesn't take a lot of time for the candidate to fill out from their perspective, but the questions are really clear and straightforward, allowing you to get very valuable insights. The whole process is really automated. So basically, once you enable this feature, you need to set it up with just a few clicks in Comeet, and then every single candidate that completes their hiring process, whether they were hired, rejected, or withdrawn, will receive this survey after 24 hours since their status has been updated and they have received a notification from Comeet. So meaning any candidate that was rejected, once they receive a notification about their rejection, 24 hours later, they will receive the candidate survey. The survey runs automatically, and once you have at least 15 responses from various candidates, you'll be able to use our candidate voice reporting, we'll make sure to reach out to you and we will open these reports for your system owner. It's very sensitive information at the end of the day, and we want to make sure that it's in the right hands. And the reports, which we'll see an example of today, will give you additional insights and a breakdown of the trends and distribution of the different data that we have gathered within this candidate survey. Any candidate that gives you positive reviews will also be referred to Glassdoor to boost your reputation and share their feedback there as well. So how does it work, basically? It's really straightforward. Once a candidate is hired, rejected, or they're marked as withdrawn, the system will send them an automatic email that is sent from Comeet. It will include your company name, of course, so they understand that we're asking them to fill out a survey about the hiring process at your company. They click on the link, and then they are sent to a little survey with a chatbot. We'll really see it live just in a sec. And as we saw and understood together, all of the feedback is collected by Comeet, and then it is shared with you within several reports that you can use to understand the candidate's experience, identify if there are gaps or specific things that you need to improve or change. You know, all of the candidates that you're meeting are probably also involved in other hiring processes, so you're also getting a benchmark here. It's very valuable information. Really, any candidate that will take a minute or two to fill out a survey is greatly appreciated, and something really important that we would want you to have access to and to be able to learn from. So this is an example of the email that is sent out. It'll say at the top the name of the candidate and the name of the company. And basically the email will explain that we're gathering an anonymous feedback from them. It'll also have a little blurb about Comeet at the bottom, saying that it's the ATS system that you're using, so they understand the process and the connection here. Once they click rate your hiring process, they'll be sent to this little chatbot that you can see on the screen now. So it works really well, on a mobile and as a web browser as well. And basically, it's really straightforward. There are several questions. I'll show you the question sequence in just a bit. The candidate has an option to rate their responses and rate their experience. Specific questions will have follow-up questions. If it's a negative response, they'll be able to add text feedback that you will also have in your reports. And as we mentioned, positive responses in the end will result in a referral to your Glassdoor page, allowing you to collect positive feedback that will be shown to all of the different candidates that are interested in your company. A few important things about the candidate voice in addition. First of all, the questionnaire cannot be edited, so the questions are built in and are as is. We see really great feedback and really great results because we're able to tackle different aspects of the hiring process, but make it very straightforward and easy to respond to by the candidate. I'll also mention this survey comes in different languages, so if you're hiring around the globe, like many of you are, we have the candidate survey in Spanish, German, French, Russian, and Portuguese. So you can feel free to use it across your different global locations. Another benefit is that we're impacting your brand beyond just getting the feedback from the candidates, and you'll be able to collect various recommendations on Glassdoor from the candidates that gave you positive feedback. And let's talk about the reports a little bit. So it's really important to understand the data. It's not enough to just see the answers and the responses. We really want you to be able to gain valuable insights at this point. So you can see here that we're covering various topics throughout the questionnaire. The survey will include a rating of the overall candidate experience, what motivated candidates to apply for positions at your companies, and different aspects of the hiring process that include how they were treated by the interviewers, were the questions that they were asked, were they relevant, how was scheduling, how was status updates, which is actually something we can definitely connect to our next topic today, which is auto scheduling. That has a big impact on scheduling, obviously, for the candidate experience as well. And then we're able to give you a breakdown in these reports that includes a breakdown by recruiter, hiring manager, department, location, and candidate status. So essentially, we would be able to compare the responses by the different statuses of the candidate. Obviously, if a candidate is hired, that could have an impact on their experience versus a candidate that had rejection at the end of the process, and that might leave them a bit disappointed. But we do want to aim for all of our candidates to have positive experiences regardless of the end result. You'll be able to filter the report by these different breakdowns, and you'll also have all of the feedback, all of the text feedback, all of the free text answers documented as well. So here are some examples. As you can see here, this is one of the reports, the Candidate Voice Dashboard. It'll start out by showing you how many surveys were sent out, how many were started and completed. And in this example, which is a sample report, you can see a completion ratio of 29%. Usually we're going to see around 20 to 25% completion ratio across our clients, and that's actually a very good number considering this type of survey. So that's one of the things you want to aim for. And for each question that is asked in the survey, you'll have the percent of positive responses, which are, in this case, a rating of 4 and 5. You'll have the distribution and the trend. Now, just talking about the pricing and the fact that this is an additional cost for you, that's of course something you want to discuss internally and consider. But I do want to say that it takes some guts to open up the candidate survey, on a personal level, because you really need to look at the data, stare it in the face, and understand really where you are in terms of the candidate experience. But once you do make that step, you'll see that this information is very, very valuable and can really teach you a lot about your hiring process, whether you have a large number of candidates that are withdrawing, whether you suspect that there's some kind of behavior in the hiring team that could be improved, and just to have a KPI that you want to aim for and improve over time. Budget-wise, even if you decide that you want to dedicate this for a specific period of time, that's completely optional. The payment is per month, so you can decide you want to open up the feature, use it for 2 or 3 months, get the feedback, and decide to move forward. So I do want to encourage you to consider it, even if it's for something that would be short-term for you. So we can see here additional examples within the reports. For example, the question is, were the interviewers respectful to you? You can see the percent of positive responses, the distribution, and the trend. This is obviously a very important question. We wouldn't want any of our interviewers to not be respectful to our candidates. And so this is something important to keep track. Scheduling is a big part, right? Candidates are obviously either already working full-time while interviewing for your company, maybe in different processes. And so, like we said before, all of their responses are going to be an indication of a benchmark comparing their experience at your company versus other companies that they're in the process for. So scheduling is, something that the recruitment team spends a lot of time doing and impacts the candidate experience. So we'll talk about auto scheduling in this context, and it's good to know that scheduling is working well, and logistically wise speaking, this isn't what's stalling the process. Some questions that have the option to write a free text answer, you'll also have that information in the report. Here you can see an example of a question regarding motivations. You'll have the breakdown of the different options, as well as the free text answers. Here you can see an example of the second report that you'll have available, which is the breakdown. You'll be able to see the different responses according to different hiring managers, recruiters, location and departments, and compare it between the status of the candidates, for example. Here you can identify specific points that you would like to improve or address. It is important to mention that even if a hiring manager, for example, has a low rating in one of these topics, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's directed at him or her. We're looking at positions where taking into consider that there's various team members in the hiring team, interviewers, coordinators, recruiters. The division of the reports will be by hiring managers and recruiters, but it's obviously, we're looking at all of the team members that are taking part in that specific process. So here's the slide with the question sequence. I'm going to stay here for a couple of minutes just so you all have an opportunity to look at the screen. You can take a screenshot of this as well and use it to consider it moving forward. As you'll see here, there's not a lot of questions, so it's very straightforward and easy for the candidate to fill out. There are 3 different questions that if the candidate gives a negative response, there will be a follow-up question allowing them to answer, how they think you can improve or what made them feel this way. These textual answers will be, important for you to use in your reports as well. And like we mentioned before, at the end of the survey, once you get a positive response from your candidates, they will be also referred to Glassdoor. So while you're just taking a look at this screen, I'll remind you the main things to take into consideration with the candidate voice. First of all, this is an add-on feature that has additional payment. Our support team will be happy to answer any questions, and you can reach out to us for a demo and for us to connect you to the sales teams for a price quote. This can be paid and subscribed to on a monthly basis, allowing you to test it for a period of time, gather the responses, use the reports, and decide how you want to move forward. We have companies that use this for a short period of time to identify specific bottlenecks or specific things that they want to change or improve. And we have a lot of companies that see such great value in having this, open and ongoing to understand where they are in terms of the candidate experience. This is really something influential when it comes to your branding. There's a lot of competition out there in the hiring world right now. So this is something we really want you to be able to, learn from and address accordingly. So it's completely up to you how to move forward with this. We have it in several languages, and it's a built-in survey. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to write them in the Q&A, and we'll make sure to address them at the end of our topics. Great. So summing that up, as mentioned, our support team will be happy to answer any questions. You can reach out to them via chat or email. Now we're going to move on to auto scheduling, our next topic for today. This is really a really exciting new feature that we took a lot of time to research and develop here at Comeet. We really understood the need for automation when it comes to scheduling, which also impacts the number of hours your recruiting team is spending on scheduling and the candidate experience. And maybe some of you joined our previous webinar on this topic. But we wanted to talk to you about this as well today. So I'm going to show you how it works in Comeet and discuss this a little bit with you. This feature is open for all of our customers that have starter, ultimate, or enterprise packages, and it's available to be used if you have a Google Calendar or an Office 365 calendar. The idea here is for you to save lots of time and automate the process of scheduling interviews. Basically, all you need to do is set up your preferences in your personal profile. And once that's activated, you can send a link to your candidate. That link will be a real-time link that updates accordingly when the candidate clicks on it, allowing them to select the time for their interview. So let's take a look at how this looks in Comeet and what the candidate will receive. I'll also open up a preview for us to see it as well. So I'm hoping you can all see my Comeet screen. Perfect. So basically, as I mentioned, it's very easy to set up. All you need to do is go to your personal profile, click on the name of the company at the top right-hand corner, go to the personal profile and go to the scheduling tab. Now, hopefully all of you have already connected your calendar at the top. This is something that we recommend doing when you get started with Comeet. It allows you to see availability of managers and your own calendar when scheduling interviews. This can be connected, as I mentioned, with Google or with Office 365. All you need to do is enter your email and click connect. So this is what you've had up until today within Comeet, and now what's new is the availability for auto scheduling. So when you scroll down, what you'll need to do to get started is to turn it off. Okay, it was previously off, it'll be grayed out, and there's 3 basic settings that you need to set up. The first one is the weekly working hours. We want to give sort of a limitation of the working hours on a weekly basis. This will, be the time that you're available to interview. So it shouldn't be only the interview slots you want to make yourself available for. It should be as much time as possible to allow, meetings are going to be scheduled, things are going to be dynamic. You want to have a large amount of hours allocated so there's more options for the candidates to choose from. But you do have a lot of flexibility. So for example, if you're not working on Sundays, you can mark Sunday off. You could decide that you have a day without interviews, for example, Friday, or you could decide to split up one of your days to, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and then decide that you only want to interview again later in the evening or in the afternoon, for example. Of course, if you're interviewing for global positions and you're located in the US and you're interviewing candidates in Europe or vice versa, you want to make yourself available in relevant spots that are maybe early in the morning for you or later in the evening. So you can do up to 2 breaks a day, okay? You can also have just one time slot that covers all of your working hours, for example, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Once you finish the weekly working hours, you'll scroll down to the auto scheduling preferences over here. I'll address this part in just a bit. Here you'll be allocating the maximum hours per day that you want to interview, same with the maximum hours per week. Basically, you'll want to take into consideration what type of interviews you're doing. If you're interviewing, let's say, for usually an hour per candidate, maybe you don't want to interview more than 2 hours a day because, 2 hours of interviewing, you need to prepare for these interviews, you need to fill out the evaluation. So you might want to limit to 2 hours per day, or maybe you're interviewing for shorter periods of time, you have 15-minute phone interviews, and then in that case, you might want to have 4 interviews per day. So you can limit that per day and per week. And the last thing that you need to do over here is set up your minimum notice. And this is really important because we don't want to have, we basically don't want you guys to be surprised, right? So we don't want to, I could potentially send out the link right now to the candidate asking them to select the time for their interview, but they would only open it in a couple of hours. I would already be out of work for the day, and suddenly I would wake up in the morning and I would see I have an interview in 15 minutes because the candidate found a slot that just opened up when, late at night when they were finished with work and checking their calendar. So we do want to make sure that you have time to prepare for an interview and that, that you're aware that the interview has been scheduled. So here, for example, you could decide that you want to have a minimum notice of 24 hours, for example, or 12 or less. And for those who really need extra time, you can choose 36 or 48. I do want to mention that we don't want to, have too much of a buffer here. At the end of the day, we have candidates that we want to interview and move forward with them, obviously, as soon as possible. So I think, somewhere between 12 to 24 hours would be recommended. I'll mention quickly that we have another add-on for this feature. So as I mentioned, auto scheduling is included in Starter, Ultimate, and Enterprise packages. And we also have a Pro version. The Pro version has additional costs, and it allows you to use auto scheduling together with reserving meeting rooms with multiple interviewers and the option to block different blocks of time within your calendar. So if you need any more information about that or it sounds relevant for you, feel free to reach out to our support team for more details. So we finished setting up auto scheduling. We've set up our working hours. We've set up the maximum time allocated for interviews on a daily and weekly basis and our minimum notice. Once you're all done with this, you're going to go ahead and click Save. Now, when you're ready to send out the email to the candidate, you'll go to one of your candidate cards. So you could be working with your tasks. For example, you could be scheduling interviews as recruiting assistants, and then you would send out the link for a candidate for an interview with one of your hiring managers. And you can use this for your interviews for yourself, the unscheduled interviews, which are basically your own interviews. So let's say I'm going to do an example for myself. I'm Amanda in my demo account, and I have a candidate called Benjamin that I'd like to interview. Up until now, the scheduling button within Comeet was basically a button. You could click on it, select a time, and send over the invitation to the hiring manager as well as the candidate. So today, the scheduling button has become a drop-down, and the option that you now have available is, in addition to select the time, you have the option to invite candidate to select the time. Once you click on it, a window will open up, and what you'll see here is the details of the interview that you've set up on a workflow basis. So on a position level, you've set up that this specific interview is an in-person interview, and it's 1 hour. You have the option to change it from here. You can make it a phone interview or a video interview. You could add a link to Zoom, and you could change the duration as well. If you do decide to change the duration over here, you'll click below to make sure that you have enough available slots. And this is really great because before you actually send out the invitation to the candidate, you want to make sure that you do have enough available slots in the and you don't really know when the candidate will click on it. Meetings will move around, they'll be changed, they'll be canceled. We want to have as much options possible available when we send it out to the candidate, so they have as much options to choose from. So you'll see here the details of the participant, the candidate, Benjamin. We'll see the details about the interviewers. We'll be able to add notes for the interviewers as well as for the candidates from within the position workflow. And here we see how many options we currently have. So as you saw before, if I change the duration, I'll click here, check availability, and it will obviously show a little bit more options. Once I'm ready to send this out, I know that this is a video interview for 15 minutes. I know I have enough options in the next 7 days. I'll click next to review this message. Now, the email template that is shown up here is basically another new auto template that you now have available in your system. This auto template can be edited. You can add your own branding, your logo, change the wording and make sure it's personalized and really reflects your company culture and how you'd like to communicate with your candidates. The only thing you want to make sure not to edit is this attribute over here, which is select a time for your interview. That's basically what's going to activate this feature, so make sure not to change that. When we're done, ready to send it out to the candidate, all we need to do is click send, and a few things will open up in Comeet. So first of all, there will be a new badge next to the scheduling. So now you know that even though this interview hasn't been scheduled, anyone who takes a look at this candidate card can see that they have received an invitation to select their own time. Over here in the candidate history, we'll be able to see the email that is documented that it was sent. And we have now a new task in our task screen called interview candidate to select time. And this is basically a list of all of the candidates that I've sent out an invitation, giving them the option to choose a time for their interview that suits them. So that's basically all you need to do on your end, whether you're a hiring manager, whether you're recruiting or a coordinator, all you need to do is send out that email. Now let's take a look at what the candidate receives. You can see an example here. So basically, once the candidate receives the email, they'll click on the link, and once they click on it, this will update in real time. You'll have your own branding here. It's not an integration. It's not a third-party provider. So it's got the look and feel of your logo. It's got your profile pictures that you've updated in Comeet. You can see in this case that the recruiter is reaching out to the candidate, asking them to select the time for their in-person interview. You can see the position name as well, the company name, of course, the name of the recruiter that sent out the email. There'll be details over here on the left about the meeting. If it's an in-person meeting, you'll see that there's already an address, a map, so they know that they need to calculate, arrival time. If it's a video or phone interview, that will be indicated as well. They know they need to be available. They need to be next to a computer, whatever they need accordingly to the type of the interview. There will also be details of the interviewer over here. You can add a URL to their LinkedIn page, so candidates that would like to prepare before and read a little bit about their interviewer can do that as well. Over here, they can scroll between the days, so they can go day by day, see the different time slots and find something that works for them. They can move 1 week forward and they can scroll back. It's really important to address the time zone issue here as well. So I'm located in Israel right now, so that's what you can see here. But I do really want to mention that auto scheduling will work across different time zones. The position could be in Berlin and the hiring manager could be in New York and the candidate could be in Australia. The system would know to sync all of this together because at the end of the day, they're looking at the interviewer's availability. The candidate will click on the link and will see the time zones that are available in their own time zone. Okay, so if I'm located in Israel, no matter where the interview is, these time slots will be shown in my local time. If for some reason a candidate doesn't find a slot that suits them, there's not enough options or these options just don't match their schedule, they can click here on can't find a suitable time, and then they'll be able to allocate 3 or more slots that they are available. This will already really shorten up the coordination and scheduling. So this is also another feature, part of the feature that you should be aware. Once they click a time, okay, let's say I've clicked on 12:30 p.m. Once the candidate has clicked on the time, they'll be asked to confirm their selection. And at that point, all of the interview invites will automatically be sent out. So there's no action to be taken. The interviewer will receive the invitation, the candidate will receive the invitation, and the recruiter or the coordinator that sent out this request will also receive an email notification that the interview has been scheduled. So it really makes scheduling a lot more easier for the hiring team. It automates the process, and it really gives control to the candidate because they can feel, good about choosing a time that they're fine with. They don't need to be on, under pressure on the phone with you or stressed about needing to adapt their busy schedule. They can take the time, look at the different slots, change plans, and adapt accordingly. So just going back to our presentation to sum up a little bit about auto scheduling, I do want to mention a few more things before we move on. So first of all, this is a huge time saver. Okay, we could all see that in a couple of clicks you can set up your personal profile. The recruiter, manager, or interviewer, whoever decides, can send out this invitation to the candidate, which will be able to easily click, see the time slots available, and select them, initiating the automatic sending of all of the interview invites. It's important to make sure that you set up as much time possible in your personal profile. If you're interviewing for different time zones, make sure to have relevant slots. The link updates live, so you won't know in advance how many slots or which slots the candidates will receive. You'll be able to see how many slots are currently available at the time when you're sending it. And that's why we really want to make sure that it's a live update. So when the candidate clicks, that's when it will read your calendar and your preferences and offer slots accordingly. We've gotten really great feedback about this feature. It's been saving a lot of time for various sizes of companies and various teams. So if you have any more questions, if you need any help setting it up, we have different articles in our help center, a short training video. So feel free to reach out and start using this feature to save some time. You can also, implement it, start small, start with one position, one hiring manager, get a feel of it, and then start growing it and use it across your company. Great. So for that topic, if you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to our support team via chat or email. Okay, our last topic for today before we dive into some of your questions, we're going to talk about Comeet's referral program. Now, before I address the referral program specifically, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Comeet's hosted career website. So for anyone who opens a Comeet account for the first time, what we've made available for all of our clients is a hosted Comeet career site that is already ready to use. So some of you will be integrating your career site with Comeet, which will require, some dev work on your end. Some of you might, be at the start of your company and you're still building your own company website. So we want you to all be aware that there is a built-in hosted Comeet career website that is available for all of you to use, that is included in your account from day one. This page can be branded with your logo, a blurb about your company, and of course your brand color. And it automatically has built in the Comeet referral program. So the Comeet referral program allows you to automate all of the referrals that you're receiving from your employees. In addition to updating your employees about open positions and the status of their referrals, you'll be able to easily track them within Comeet, prioritize these candidates accordingly, and we also have designated reports for this topic specifically. I want to show you a little bit how it looks like and also address the settings, and then we'll have time for questions. So just going back over here to my browser, you can see here an example of a Comeet career website. And for the first time when I enter it as an employee of the company, if I scroll down, I'll be able to see, the different positions and locations. I'll have a little message at the bottom asking me if I'm an employee at Comeet. Now, this specific part of the career website will be implemented if you do a full integration and if you decide to use the hosted Comeet career website, which is what we're seeing right now. And as a company employee, all I'll need to do is click here and do a one-time login. I'll write in my full name and my work email. And according to my domain, my email domain, Comeet will be able to recognize that I am a company employee and set up a source card for me. Once I log in, what I'll see here at the bottom is a personalized message with my name. It'll identify me as a company employee, offer me to get credit for my referrals, and all of these links below will become basically shareable, trackable links, meaning that if I have a friend that wants to apply for a customer support position, I can click this link and send them the link via WhatsApp, text, or email. I can share these links on LinkedIn, on Facebook, or any kind of social media page. And I can not only share the whole career website, but I can also go into a specific position and decide to share that position only. What it means to have a shareable, trackable link, meaning that anyone that sees this post of mine and clicks on the link will be directed just like any other candidate to the career website of the company, and we will be able to apply for the position. The difference is that they will be attributed to that employee as a source, and this will all happen automatically. As a company employee, I can also click on apply for this job and choose refer a friend, and then I'll have the application form that I can share details about my friend's resume. So this is really easy to use, and we have very simple instructions with a little short video in our help center that you can send over to your employees to get them to use this in an easier automatic way. Another part that we have in Comeet is the option to enable a weekly update for your employees. So it's not only that you're encouraging them to send over their referrals, but you're also letting them know what's happening with those referrals, what the status is, and sharing any new positions. So let's quickly see how this would look in Comeet. So as a system owner or admin, you would want to set up the referral program under your company settings. So top right-hand corner, name of the company, and choose settings. And over here under careers website, by the way, this is where you'll see details about our hosted website, you'll have the referral program. So the referral program, all it requires you is to decide if you give a bonus or not. And if you do give a bonus, you can either, not promise a specific one or a specific amount, just have a general notification, or you can decide to write a specific amount if it's, a specific amount of money that you're going to give each employee for a successful hire. So that's basically the only setup that it requires for you on a company level. If you'd like to enable the weekly status update for employees, by clicking Learn More over here, you'll land in our Help Center, and you'll also have a list of the different statuses that your employees will receive. So obviously, we're not, disclosing any personal or discrete information about the hiring process, but we can give general updates if the candidate has passed screening processes, has interviews scheduled. And the email that they receive will also include different positions that have been opened, the most positions that have the newer ones, the ones with the higher referral bonus. So you're continuing to encourage your employees to send in their referrals while also keeping them in the loop and updated. The last part of the referral program is the reports. As mentioned, we're going to meet here in 2 weeks for our end of the year reporting webinar, and we have various other webinars that you can tune in regarding reports, but it's important for you to know that you do have a designated report for tracking referrals. It's under the sourcing folder in Comeet Insights. And this report includes various information regarding how many hires you've made through referrals, how many applicants you've received, and it also includes a full list of all of the hires made through referrals, according to the position and the reward that you put in Comeet. So it's really easy to just download that as an Excel and send it over to your finance department to make sure to include those bonuses in the employees' salaries. So this is actually very useful. I think that's it for now. It's time for some Q&A. So feel free to write some of your questions. I can see that some of you have already added questions, so we're going to address them shortly. In the meantime, just to give you 1 minute to give us some feedback, I'm going to launch a quick poll here. I would really appreciate your response and feedback regarding this webinar. It's 2 short questions. I'll give you a minute to give us some feedback, and then we'll go and talk about your questions. Thank you for everyone who's participated in our poll. We really appreciate it. I'll give you another minute. There's two questions to answer here, and we're going to dive into your Q&A. We have some good questions here on the Q&A, so I'm going to address them in just a sec. Okay, very good questions. Thanks, everybody. I think almost everybody has filled out the poll, so if you haven't had a chance, last option. Okay. Great, so we're going to finish up with the poll. Fantastic, great. So I'm turning on my video again so I can see all of you. And let's talk about your questions a little bit. So regarding the candidate voice feature, which is the first feature we discussed today, as mentioned, it's not possible to edit the questions at this point, and the email and the questions itself are built in as a feature. But as mentioned, they do come in different languages, including German, Spanish, and Russian, according to your different global locations. Regarding Glassdoor, so as you can see, maybe I'll take you back to that specific slide in the presentation. Basically, the referral to Glassdoor is done by a link. They're not just only told to go into Glassdoor, they have a direct hyperlink that takes them there, and then they can write their positive feedback. Let's see if we have any additional questions about the candidate voice, and then we can go on to auto scheduling. So regarding auto scheduling, we have someone asking here regarding their availability. If I have a lot of meetings during the week, how can that candidate know when I'm busy? So that's a great question. You don't have to worry about that. That's what auto scheduling does for you. Basically, once you set out your weekly working hours, auto scheduling and Comeet knows to read your calendar live. If I click on the link at 10 a.m. in the morning, I'll be able to see as of right now when the interviewer is available. If they don't have any available slots, they'll be able to scroll through the different days and weeks and identify those slots. So you don't need to worry about that. You need to make sure that your weekly working hours are set up in addition to the rest of your preferences. And once the link is clicked on by the candidate, then there's a real live reading of your calendar. Regarding sequential abilities, this is something that we're looking into and considering. At the moment, you can do this per interview at a time. Obviously, if you have, parallel interviews, you can send out an invitation for the candidate to select a time for either one of your interviews. Regarding sending out a link with a deadline, that's a great question. So we've also added the option within Comeet to limit the time that the candidate has, looking forward into your schedule. So the default would be once the candidate clicked on the link, he would be able to see 3 weeks forward and then click which slot they would prefer. And obviously this is stalling recruitment processes and we want to avoid that. So today the owner of the system has admin settings that they can address under the automation menu, and there they can set, for example, that the candidate will be able to only schedule 3 days forward, 4 days forward. Regarding multi-stakeholder interviews, so the pro version that I briefly mentioned does support that. If you have 3, 4, 5, 2 and above people interviewing, you'll need to consider using our pro version. The pro version will allow the auto scheduling basically to read multiple interviewers' calendar at the same time and identify that specific slot, and it will work the same way with reserving meeting rooms. So if most of your interviews are, with multiple interviewers, I would definitely encourage to consider using the pro version. Regarding where you can find the survey, the candidate survey, you can find more information in our help center. We'll also send out this recording. You can reach out to our support if you want a demo or you have additional questions. Let's see what else we have here. Yes, auto scheduling works with Outlook, okay, but to make sure that we're being specific here, we're talking about Office 365. So Outlook can be the view either for Microsoft Exchange or for Office 365. And we support Office 365 as well as Google. So make sure that when you're referring to Outlook, you double check with your IT which calendar is behind the scenes. Let's see what else we have here. We have some questions about the referral, and then we're gonna finish up for today. So the referral updates, they will only go to employees who have already referred their friends, because once you refer a friend as an employee, a source card is set up for you in the system, and that's how Comeet will know to send out that referral status update. It's regardless of Comeet logins, okay? So Comeet logins are for our hiring team, our interviewers, our managers, and the referral status is for any employee, whether it's a manager or an employee that doesn't take part in the hiring process. As long as they've referred a friend and they are set up as a source card, Comeet will know to send them out the email. That's going to be about it for today. If you haven't received any answers to your questions, please feel free to reach out to our support team. They'll be happy to answer all of your questions. I'm just going to go ahead and remind you that we're meeting in 2 weeks for our end of the year reporting webinar. You can see on the screen the reports that we're going to be covering, your hires reports, management reports, and different performance reports that you can use. And of course, we'll be really happy to receive any questions that you have in advance. So feel free to just send them over to our support team and we'll address them accordingly. I really hope this webinar has been valuable for all of you and that you've gotten a chance to, learn a little bit more and hear more details about our various features that contribute to automation and the candidate experience. Thank you so much for joining us. It's really great to see all of you here, and I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks. Bye, everybody.